So, good evening, everybody. I've been just kind of documenting these struggles. It's so funny because I always wanted, no, I'm not gonna say I wanted. I believe that once I accepted God's call in my life, I knew that one of the things that He would use me to do was to kind of document, um, how, how who God is in our lives. We have the Bible to reference who God is and, find strength and find out, how he was able to deliver some people. But I don't know about anybody else, but I know for me, when I wasn't really into reading the Bible, one of the things that I would always question is, well, those things don't apply. So how does this apply to me? Or what is he going to do for me? Or, things are different. And I really didn't understand. But as I started to mature just a little bit more in Christ, one of the things that came to me was, just being able to show that God is the same today as he was yesterday. And really, you know, like Ecclesiastes says, there's nothing new under the sun, not even the things that we go through. It's like the deliverance is the same, even though the story might be just a little different. And, and I always had that feeling that I would be used to kind of tell these stories. But I guess I really didn't realize that in order for me to be able to tell these stories of how God can deliver you, or you have to go through it. And I don't know how that one went over my head, but spiritually, a lot of things tend to go over my head. But I'm not really getting a full understanding of things unless I find myself going through these things. And so, most of the things that I wound up recording are things that I've experienced or probably that I'm experiencing now. And so, in the last few recordings, I have been talking about what I'm going through at work. And so, just to kind of bring you up to speed without going into too much detail right now, um, I've been having these struggles at work. I had a supervisor come in. They pretty much are trying to set me up to fail, and I don't have anybody, it would appear, that could help me. It's almost like, people will pray with you and they're like, oh no, you're a person of good character. I know your strength. You can handle it, until they find out the giants that I'm kind of up against. And then it's like, well, I don't know. And, I had to get to a point of just surrendering. In the message, The Office, I just kind of talked about David a little bit, when his first child with Bathsheba had, passed away. It was like, as long as the baby was alive and he was waiting for God to give him grace, he cried and he mourned and he went through all of that. But once the baby was gone, it was nothing else that he could do. He had to just get up and he had to just, move forth. And that's where I was. And right now, because God has shown me that I'm having to fight, and I'm up against something. And if you would listen to my previous recording, which is called I'm Not a Fighter, it wouldn't be my choice to fight. So, okay, so now I'm having a fight. So God had actually kind of brought me to it. So the thing that came to me was just out of the book of 1 Samuel 17, with the story of David and Goliath. Right now, I was just kind of like reading through, and, and it just talked about, how big, how much of a giant, Goliath was. But I read out of the New Living Translation, and, they actually refer to Goliath as being a champion. He was a champion. So it wasn't just that he was big. It wasn't just that he was, intimidating. I mean, he's had to win some battles, and he was their champion. And with that, he had the confidence to take on anybody, and a lot of times people will. What makes a person feel that they strong, what makes a person feel that they can just mess with somebody or just come into a battle and win the battle is because they won before, and so now they have the confidence that I will win again. And so, like Goliath, where he's telling them, bring anybody, bring them on, who are you going to bring out to fight? I'm the Philistine champion. You are only the servants of Saul. Like everybody's beneath him. He's the champion. He knows he's going to win, and he tells them, choose a person to come here and fight me. If they kill me, I'll be your slave. But if I kill him, you'll be my slave. And that's somebody who's confident, because nobody's going to volunteer themselves to be somebody's slave. He made that kind of wager knowing that he was going to win. And a lot of times people take things on because they believe that they're going to win this. They come into this challenge because they believe that they're going to win this. And I'm not talking about us as Christians, who come in believing that, oh, I'm stepping up to this battle because I know I'm going to win this. Now, that's the type of faith that we are supposed to have, but it's not. Well, from my experience, it's not usually us. It's usually the opposition that comes in and feels like they can mess with us, because their track record shows that they're going to defeat us. And so, David was not, being the youngest of Jesse's 8 children, David was definitely not the one that anybody would have ever thought would have been, the person to come up against this champion, not at all. He just wasn't. One thing that I found that was so interesting in the story was that, when David was told Saul that he'll go and he'll fight him, the first thing that Saul said is that, don't be ridiculous. There's no way that you can fight this Philistine and win. You're only a boy, and he's looking at the fact that he doesn't have any experience in this, and a lot of times, no matter what the battle is, we might not have an experience in something, we might not be the person who's the champ. It depends, because there's so many things that we can have that come into play that will make us look like we are the weaker person. And one of the things that's kind of coming to my mind now is that, if you're warring against somebody and it's a spiritual battle, more times than not, if somebody's coming in and they're on the enemy side, they've been there for their whole life. They didn't start out on God's side, go to the enemy side real quick thinking that they could win something. No, this has more than likely been a lifelong thing. Whatever they're coming to you with, whatever fills their cup, whatever, is the source of their strength, this has been a lifelong thing. Us being tested in our faith, a lot of times it's not a lifelong thing, and even if it's something that you've been in for years, we always get tested on different levels. So if you win this test, then you're tested on another level. So it's almost like we're always coming in young. We're always coming in new. We're always coming in least experienced in this battle than the opposition is, and so that's pretty much what what kind of came to me from that. And so, but one thing that David said that he's been taking care of his father's sheep and goats, and when a lion or a bear comes to steal a lamb from the flock, he'll go after it, if it turns on him, he'll catch it by the jaw. And, sometimes it's not always that we're equipped for this particular battle that we're in, because we probably never had to fight this particular battle, but we've had some kind of experience in our life that has prepared us. And that's why I really find it hard when people think that, oh, I made the right choice, I didn't do this right. No, I honestly believe from the bottom of my heart that even if we don't think that things fit into our puzzle, that everything happens for a reason. there was some kind of experience that that happened in life that we had to deal with, that even though it might not even relate to what it is that we're going through right now, it has somehow prepared us for what it is that we're going through. Um, and in this particular case, here it is. David is talking about going up against this champion, and Saul is like, no, you're not, you can't, you're not ready, you're not equipped, you're ill-equipped. You hear me say that a lot. You're ill-equipped, you don't have what it takes. But David is like, no, because I relate this to something else that I've been through in my life. And sometimes we need to go back into those things that we've been through in our lives previously to know that, okay, I might not have had to conquer this particular challenge, but God has brought me through some things. And if I could fight these lions and these bears, I believe that I can do this. And it's not so much that, I'm saying that this man is as big as these animals, but it's just that God has brought me through that. That was a challenge, like this is a challenge, and God is going to bring me through that. And, and he's figured out that, okay, I've been delivered once before and I'm going to be, delivered again. And so if he's done this to both lions and bears, he'll do this to this Philistine too. And, and I mean, as I just listen to this or just think about it, it's like, wow, I mean, it's amazing, because as I think about my own situation right now, I mean, there has been plenty of times as I've gone through this situation with my job that even though I've never had to deal with anything like this, I'm like, Nicole, God has really brought you through some things. Do you not remember being unemployed before? Do you not remember coming back stronger, coming back more equipped than you were before? I mean, that's just one thing. Do you not remember just all the things that God have delivered you from? Just because this enemy looks a little different, is not that God can't. There's nothing different about it, or bigger about it, or better about it, that God can't bring you out of it the same way he did before. And that was a strength that David had that we don't often have, to see, to see those things. And, I guess because of the faith that David had and what it is that he had dealt with, Saul had, he had to just go with it. And a lot of times, you know, people will look at things, and it's not their fault to say, I don't think that you could take this on, because they don't know what you've been through. They don't know how God has equipped you. That's just not, it's not necessarily even for them to know, but that's when it's time for you to exercise your faith. And it's time for you to now, show what it is that God has done for you, and then that's what David said. David said, it's the Lord who rescued me from the claws of the lion and the bear, and he will be the one to rescue me from the Philistine. And then Saul will go on to say, all right, go ahead, and may the Lord be with you. And sometimes that faith that you have is courageous. Now, that person still might not know if you could do it, or if you can do it, how you're going to do it, but because you have the faith to do it, then that faith becomes contagious, and then they start believing believing in it with you. And so what Saul would go on to do is that he would give, David his own armor. And, at first David put it on, and he took a step or two, just to see what it looked like, because he never wore things like that, but it just didn't feel right to him. And if you could just, okay, like, let's take a step out of the story for a moment. When we console people and people have really good intentions, and then they want to tell you how to fight this. Like, I'm going to tell you what I've done. I'm going to give you what I have so that you can fight this battle. And what this reminds me of is, when I came home the other night after getting this poor evaluation from work, and, I was definitely speaking to a man of God who I really look up to, and, he's telling me, oh, you going to fight this way, you going to fight that way, and because he's been through these similar situations in the workplace, and you're going to grieve it and get all of your stuff together, and then we're going to go through it together, and you're going to, do this, and I couldn't do it. It just didn't feel right to me. It didn't feel right. I mean, in my head, I know that he was giving me some things that can equip me to go into this battle that I was facing at work, because, this has been my giant. But the thing about it is that it really just didn't feel good to me. I mean, I know it works. I know that, taking those things into a battle like this can work, but it didn't fit me. It didn't fit me right. It just, it, I just didn't feel good about it. And I had to kind of be like David, and I had to just, say for a moment, like, I can't go in this. This is not what God has given me. It doesn't even fit me. It fits you, but this doesn't fit me. And and I'm just seeing the parallel here, and then it's just like, people do have good intentions. It's not that they don't, and we have to be very forgiving, but sometimes you have to take that responsibility to say that this doesn't feel right, just because it might look right, or I think I need something, so I'll just take anything. We don't have to just take anything. We don't have to just take what people say, especially when they the man and woman of God. I'm thankful for them. I'm thankful for the support that they have, but we can't just take other people's word for things. We have to experience God for ourselves, because not everything is going to be right for that battle that you are fighting in. And so, you know, um, David went to where he know. He picked up 5 smooth stones from a stream. He put them in his shepherd bag, and then he had his shepherd staff and his sling, and he went ahead with what he know. And I know for everyone that must look like, you mean to tell me that I'm giving you this whole armor to go fight this war, but you gonna bring some slings, a slingshot, and some rocks? And I know that it look weird to people. And trust me, right now, I know that in my battle and me dealing with these giants at work, I don't have a lot. I really don't have, I don't even have rocks. I could honestly say that even when I told the man of God in my own situation that I don't, this doesn't fit me, I can't fight that way, I'll be honest with you. I didn't even have what David had. I had nothing. I had nothing. All I had was just like a little bit of faith, though. Just a little bit of faith that, what? God is just going to bring me through this. There's just no way that you're going to tell me that no matter how big this giant is, that this giant is bigger than God. I just couldn't believe that. I mean, there are just some things I'm just so amazed by the fact that we often tend to think that, oh yeah, we say God is big and God is mighty and God is all of these things, but we look at some situations in our life and somehow we just start to believe that these things are bigger than God, even if we don't say it. It manifests itself that way, in our fear, when we give up, when we have doubt. I mean, all of that stuff to me equates to, oh, that's bigger than God. But so that's all I had. I had to just believe that no, if you really believe that God is above all things, that God is greater than this, then you have to believe that there's something. And so that's all I had. That's all I went in with. That's it. And you know, I just read this, and he just kind of looked at, when Goliath looked at David, and look at what David came with. He's like, like, you come to me with a stick, like, you come to me with a stick. I mean, I will I will destroy you. I will devour you. I will turn your flesh over. And people really think that. When they don't see what you come with, they're just looking at you being a weaker person. And that's something that I'm going through. At work, I come alone. I'm quiet. I guess I'm the weaker person, somebody that wouldn't fight. And people really believe that they will destroy you. But don't underestimate that they won't try. Just because they say it, they will try you, and they will try to do it. And so, but the thing that I love is that David said to the Philistine, he said, yeah, but you come to me with a sword, the spear, and a javelin. But what I come to you, and I come to you in the name of the Lord of heaven's armies, the God of the armies of Israel, whom you have defied. And today the Lord will conquer you, and I will kill you and cut off your head. It's the Lord. The Lord is conquering you. The Lord is conquering this. You're a giant, but there's a giant bigger than you. And that's something that we could never, ever, ever forget, that there's a giant bigger than the giant that we're facing. And that's God. And it's God that's going to conquer it. That's it. And once it's conquered, he'll just use us to do whatever it is that he's going to do. But at the end of the day, it's God who's going to conquer it. So you're looking at me, and I think that that's one mistake. And I guess I'm talking right now to all those giants out there that think that they could look at something, and just because you won a lot of battles and you have conquered a lot, and you might be the champion to some people, the champion of evildoers, the thing that you tend to underestimate is who God is in the life of the person that you are going up against. People underestimate us. They underestimate us as children of God. I guess, because they haven't had the experiences necessarily. And I'm not going to say that some children of God don't go up against other children of God. Things do happen, but I think that people really don't realize that we have the God in us. And if you would see us as being children of God, would you really come up against us? That's why I don't play with people. That's why I really don't mess with people, because I don't underestimate people. Not because I might be intimidated by the way that they look, or I might be intimidated by, what their reputation might be. No, I don't know who they are in Christ. I don't know if the Lord is, if they've accepted Christ as their own Lord and personal Savior. I don't know how God favors them. I don't know anything about them, and I personally don't want to put it to the test. That's just not something that I'm going to do, and I don't want people to put me to the test like that. I don't like being tested like that, but, in my own, with my own, I probably see myself sometimes as other people see me. Like I'm ill-equipped. I can't do this. And we underestimate God. We're not realizing that he is the true champion, and he's gonna conquer whatever giants we have, in front of us. And, and then we'll do whatever it is that he's going to do, but it's going to be the Lord that rescues his people, and it's not with sword and spear. That's how you fight, but this is the Lord's battle, and he will give you to us, and God will deliver your enemies to you, and don't think that he won't, so, Goliath, I mean, I guess he hearing David, he hearing it, but he's definitely not afraid because he moved in. And as soon as he moved in, David came up to meet him. And he went and he took what the Lord prepared him to come with, and he slung and he hit the Philistine in his forehead, and it sank in, and that was it. Goliath was down. It didn't take a whole lot. It was the faith that he had. It didn't take a whole lot. It didn't. I mean, it took Goliath years and years and years of battles, years and years and years of being this people's champion, and he still couldn't. This was one battle that he just couldn't. He couldn't beat. He couldn't win this battle, not this battle, So it doesn't matter what a person is coming with. It doesn't matter. Um, None of that matters. None of it matters. It doesn't matter what they're coming with. This one right here, he couldn't win against the Lord, and that's all, that's all that matters. And one of the things that interests me is that, when it goes down and just talks about how when the Philistines saw that their champion was dead, they turned and they ran, and it's funny how, people will run, you know, people will come, they'll have their armies, they'll band together, They will come against you in groups. They'll come against you. It'll just be a whole bunch of opposition that you face. But all you have to do is take down that giant, and everybody else will definitely get the picture. They will definitely get the picture. And, I just have to really say here that, you know, all I could do is just really thank God. I just thank God for giving this to me and giving me this clarity, because and all the things that I go through, sometimes I get intimidated by these giants. It doesn't feel good. It doesn't. Sometimes it just really doesn't look good. It doesn't look like this is going to be in our favor. We might not come with that kind of faith to say, okay, yeah, I know, God, that I'm equipped because I have you and this is your battle. For some of us, it might take a long time to even get to the point that we remember that this battle was not ours, but this battle was the Lord's. But, when we think about that story of David and Goliath, don't think about this 9-foot monster. Just think about those Goliaths in your life. Think about the Goliath, of your job. Anything that makes you feel intimidated, anything that makes you feel like this is bigger than me. I don't know how I can go up against this. I don't know how I can do this. But you can do it through Christ. You can't do it by yourself. You can't do it, just listening to other people. You can't do it with, trying to take on something that other people trying to give you because it helped them. No, you can't do that, but you can do it with the faith. And if God is leading you to it, he'll bring you through it. I know that sounds so cliche, but if God brings you to it, he'll definitely lead you through it. And, one of the things that I kind of always have to go back on, and it's just, just that feeling, you know, just that feeling of knowing that you can do something, because this wasn't David saw this giant and, oh yeah, I'm the one. No, this giant was out there for a while. Talk about 40 days he's going around and he's challenging people and he's trying to get them to come. So can you just imagine? But sometimes, you might not want to come up against the giant right away. You might not be equipped. You might have to go through your own process and before you feel ready. But when the time comes, you'll know that it's time, and you know that it'll be the Lord that have brought you there. And when he brings you there, he will bring you out there in one piece. But, don't think that David and Goliath is just a story of David and Goliath. There's so many of us out here that are Davids, and we come up against so many Goliaths. But the thing about it is that we might not be David, and our enemy might not be Goliath, but God is God, and the same God that helped him win that fight is the God that's going to win this fight for us. And that's just something that I just definitely wanted to leave you with here. So, David would really, really go on to just be a great man of God who suffered, so just because you win that one battle, doesn't mean that, that's it. You've proven yourself. You'll come up against more battles in life, and a lot of sufferings in life. But at the end of the day, God's favor is on us. And I think that if you ever forget, or you feel like he's not present right now, just having an understanding of the word is favor. Just being able to comprehend the word is favor. Just being able to look at a story like David and Goliath, which is something that, I remember seeing cartoons about it. I remember hearing about it. It, I think they even had like a little claymation thing about Davy and Goliath or something like that. You hear about it and you don't even know if it's real. But I feel like the favor of God is knowing that it's real, because you can look at it, you can hear this, and you can see yourself, and you can know how real God is, and knowing that the God that delivered David is the God that's going to deliver you today. And on that, just say, pick up your stones, and when it's time for you to face your giants, do not be afraid, because the Lord is with you. And I thank God for that. In Jesus' name, amen.